Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Victors Podcast. I'm Jeremy Brown. So, each new loss is deemed Harbaugh's worst, but each week he somehow finds a way to reach a new low. So, the amount of anger, frustration, and stress I have, I cannot put into words. Here are some stats only the Michigan Wolverines could pull off. An 0-28 half at the Big House, the first time since 1927. 1 yard out of their first 4 drives. 1 yard. 0 sacks and 0 forced fumbles in their last 5 halves of football. The first Big Ten team to do that in 15 years. 10-9 in the last 19 games. And Michigan's largest point loss since the 2011 Gator Bowl loss to Mississippi State, 14-52. At 1-3, Jim Harbaugh is in Rich Rod waters, and it's disgusting. So let's start off with Joe. Last week, everyone wanted to jump in at the fact that I was being hard on Milton. And let me just ask one question. Are you still on that bandwagon? Let's finally get one thing out of the way. He's not a quarterback. He's a great athlete, but he is not a traditional or great QB. His stats are deceiving. For weeks now I've been saying this. He has no natural touch, barely an ounce of accuracy. His feet are happier than Shay's, and he's literally, honest to God, he just can't read plays. He literally can't. He picks someone, and he sticks to them. Before the play, he'll tell them in the huddle, hey, I'm going to look for you downfield. And then he'll get the route, and then he just glued to them. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm convinced he has the knowledge of a sophomore high school QB. On his second interception he threw, it was the most painful thing to watch. I almost had to leave the game. It was so bad because he tries to bullet it, and he tries to bullet it, and he tries to bullet it, and there's no touch to it, and the linebacker's just sitting there. He was 10 yards off, and he just keeps trying to bullet it to the same guy, and you have to have touch, man. You gotta loft it over the linebacker's head. It's very painful to watch things like that because it's just cut and dry. You can't throw a line drive straight through the linebacker. What do you expect? The guy's standing right there, and whether or not you saw him or not, you can't just throw a ball that's 5 feet off the ground straight to someone because someone might intercept it like they did. So let's move away from Joe. Let's get on to Josh Gattis. So props to him. He actually one-upped himself on last week by calling worse plays, which I thought was impossible. The absolute lack of urgency and terrible play calling combined with the clock management skills is reason 100 why he should never been our offensive coordinator in the first place. Let's bring up the fact that it's pretty ironic that we went away from the power run scheme to beat teams like Wisconsin consistently, but then they beat us with the same scheme that we had before, and then our abysmal speed and space scheme does absolutely nothing, and it was terrible. We were a better team with Jim and Pep Hamilton's offense, period. And like, I don't know if it's just the system, the play caller, or both, but Gattis sure does love to shoot the team in the foot with handoffs up the middle on 2nd and 15 and putrid clock management. The Michigan State game, the Indiana game, and the Wisconsin game, it's like, are you a coordinator, man? Do you know what you're doing? This isn't Joe's fault. No one's telling him to hurry up. No, it's coaching. It's not Joe, and Joe has other problems. But it's not his fault with clock management. It's the coach's fault because no one's telling him to hurry up and no one even cares. And then next up on the list is Don Brown. And if the past 2 years weren't enough reason for him to be gone, then getting dog-walked 49-11 by Wisconsin better be. I seem to have a problem with repeating myself in my videos, but I'm going to have to say it again. Our defense is undisciplined, outcoached, outmanned, and terrible. Literally every single play. We stacked the box, and then we got drawn inside, so Wisconsin would just draw some tacky sweep play and get a first down after first down after first down. The only punt we forced the entire game was called back because of roughing the kicker, undisciplined. Nothing changed after last week. He has no plan, his schemes are 2 years too late, and he simply can't coach anymore. He doesn't have a backup plan. Ever since his schemes were figured out, he tries other stuff, he tries other zone, but when he implements it, it's just terrible, and there's no coaching, there's no effort put into it. The defense was so bad that it looked like us driving on Rutgers in 2016, not even lying. It's past the point of doing bad on big plays anymore against good teams. It's every single play, we just couldn't stop anything. 6 yards here, 10 yards here, 15 yards here, 7 yards here, 11 yards here. Every single drive. It was doomed from the start. And by the fourth quarter, Cameron was walking around, just letting Wisconsin waltz into the end zone. It was in the red zone. The play, he snapped the ball. He was just walking around. He kind of jogged over to try to stop him, got blocked, and he just stood there. And if Don isn't gone by the very most end of the year, then the boosters need to immediately cut the funding of the football team. I don't know what else to say with Don. Like, there's nothing else to say. It's pretty evident that he can't coach anymore. And maybe, I know he had quitting Aiden hurt, and we lost some guys. But that's the thing. You can implement a system, but when that doesn't work out, that's why you have coaches. Because if we didn't need coaches, then players would just stick to the same system the entire game and win games, and we wouldn't need coaches. But that's what coaches are for. Coaches are to take players that are new, and when the system breaks down and they're supposed to change things up, coaches are there to make changes mid-game to help the team win. That's what coaches are for, and he can't do that. And as far as Jim Harbaugh goes, the guy's lost in space. He knows we have issues, and maybe it's this bad because of the coordinators, but the guy just doesn't know how to fix it. He's most likely going to walk away at the end of the season, and I truly feel bad for him. He could have been a great coach, but that one moment in 2016 changed everything. He's surrounded by idiot coordinators now and talented athletes that just can't play football. It's been a long and at sometimes good one, but it's time to go for Jim. Let me go back to the offense. So after the 2018 Ohio State game, all this toxic media and all the toxic Michigan fans were calling for the firing of Pep Hamilton. We need a brand new scheme. We need to go with the Alabamas, go with the Ohio States. But no, it doesn't work like that because we got someone to bring in those schemes. But guess what happens? We have to change up recruiting. So in between 2019, we were two different types of recruits coming in. We had two different types of players. One that was greatly adequate to the 2018 scheme. Shea fit in great with the 2018 scheme. He played great. We had to switch up. Now everyone's mad because 2019 was a dud season because of we had to switch everything up. And then it was like, okay, well, Josh Gattis is getting settled in. Okay, now it's 2020, year 2. You have time to implement your systems. You had a QB, a triple threat QB that you thought, hey, he works with the system. Turns out he doesn't. Turns out he's pretty bad. His numbers are deceiving. And turns out your play calling is terrible and your clock management is terrible. So this falls on Jim because he's the head coach and he makes the decisions. But his offense worked out. I'm sorry to tell you guys, everyone crying out there. And I know there's going to be a lot of people in my comments saying that offense doesn't work. Well, what type of offense was Wisconsin running when they just put 49 on us? What type of offense were we running in 2018 when we just leveled Penn State and Wisconsin and we put up 39 on Ohio State before an abysmal defensive approach? What type of offense were we running then, huh? What type of offense were we running in 2016 when we almost made the Big Ten championship except for one call? Huh? What type of offense was it there? And I agree there does need to be shifts sometimes, but when he shifts and it doesn't work out, it's not really his fault because the toxic media and the toxic fans just coming at him for this offensive plan that wasn't even that bad was ridiculous. So if he didn't make a change and then maybe he loses 1 or 2 games in 2019, people would flip out. But no, he changes. We lose 4 games in 2019. Then we're like, oh, let's wait for it. Turns out Josh Gattis sucks. It's not Jim's fault. It's really just the hiring process, and it's not really that either. It's him in general because he looked like a good coach. You can't get mad at us for not knowing that he was going to turn out to be a bad coordinator, even though he came out on the rise from Penn State and Alabama, some offensive powerhouses in the country. So you can't really get mad at him for that. And I think if he just stuck with the old offense, he does have to change the defense, though, as we go on. After the 2018 Ohio State game, there should have been major changes set in place. So the defense is totally his fault, combined with Don Brown's. But offensively, with his offense, then things would probably be a lot different. And everyone seemed to gang up on the offense after the 2018 Ohio State game, which doesn't really make any sense. The offense didn't give up 62 points. We had our backups in, and we still put up 39. So I don't really know why everyone was. I never understood that. That's the thing. Why would you? It just doesn't make any sense. It's just the opposite. It's reverse. I don't know. Whatever. But that's all I have to say on Jim. I feel bad for him, but his time's come, and maybe it's just the idiot coordinators he's surrounded by. But I don't know. I think he's gonna walk away. I think that's best for the team, and I feel bad because he could have been such a good coach, but this fan base is so toxic, and you know what? I'm toxic too sometimes, and I shouldn't be. I apologize, but that's it. Our fan base is so toxic, and now we need to win now. We can't build anything up. Gosh, it's ridiculous. Come on. So, yeah, that's it. We do have a really toxic fan base, and if you don't accept that, then you're just, I don't know what to tell you, because like look at how we treat him like on a daily basis, and it's just terrible. Look how everyone treats him, and a lot of people do like him in the fan base, but we treated him terrible every time he loses a game. But now I have to say his time's up. So let's just go over a few things before I end the video. So some final thoughts are basically McNamara's a stud, and you guys love telling me everything I'm wrong about in the comments, but I've been saying this for weeks. Joe doesn't have natural accuracy or touch that a QB should have, and guess what? I was right. And I am wrong on a lot of stuff, but this time I was right. I want to see McNamara come in. He was Alabama's top QB recruit for a reason, and look at that. He shows more touch and accuracy in 3 completions than I've seen in 3 years from a Michigan QB, maybe besides 2018 Shea sometimes. And he did stumble in the last drive that he was making plays, but it was a monsoon, and our offensive line is terrible, and it was terrible play calling. But, dude, he looks like a stud, man, on that one drive. There's 3 completions, touchdown, 2-point conversion. He looks like a stud. So, overall, the team is kind of in a breaking point. This was a must-win game, and it didn't happen. And I don't know if it's Ward Manuel just holding Jim back. I thought I saw an article about that. Jim Harbaugh's being held back. Maybe that's why he's deflated. He's deflated because his coordinators are awful. He's deflated because his team doesn't try. He's deflated because it's been 6 years and he couldn't get over the hump. And almost all that blame's put on him, obviously, as the head coach. But there's still other factors that he can't control. So, and I can't even make a Penn State joke because we're just worse. Like, they have obviously the worst record, but we're just a worse football team. It looks like at this point, like the defense was so bad. I can't even just say, I can't even put into words how bad it was. It was just bad. It looked terrible. We got one stop the entire game, and then mistakes turned that around and gave Wisconsin the ball directly back. So hopefully we got to get a win at Rutgers. Hopefully we can figure things out, get a win at Ohio State, but right now that's just impossible. So this is the Victors Podcast. I'm Jeremy Brown. As always, go blue.